Assalamu alaikum. Education has been an important part of our life, and in Fourth Estate, in several occasions, we have been discussing about the education system of Maldives. But tonight, in a different perspective, we'll be talking about the education system of Maldives with the South Chamber President, Mr. Ismail Asif. I'm Nur Nasif, and this is Fourth Estate. Well, first of all, you must have seen and experienced so much abroad. You must have seen how the education systems work in the schools in other countries. So, in your words, what is the purpose of education?
The purpose of education is to learn something, to learn a skill or to learn something, so that you might either be better at something or you might be able to do something which you are not able to do before. So the process of the process which you are engaged in trying to acquire the skills or the set of knowledge is education. You are educating somebody or you are educating yourself. That's how I would put it.
Well, looking into the education system here, from preschools to primary, and then you do the O levels, and then you go for A levels. So, in this system of ours, how would you comment on the education system that we have right now? Basically, it's very dependent on overseas, especially as we do the 2 exams, which is from other countries. So, how would you comment on this?
Right now, the education system in the Maldives has got many flaws. One of the more critical would be the number of students in the classroom. There is no way one person can attend to 30 or more children in a classroom, and given the period of time. Then the other problem which I see would be the teachers not being able to bring out the creativity in the children. They actually kill the moral and the creativity of almost all the children. One thing we have observed, I have observed in my 14 years of going to the government schools, would be they don't let the children ask questions. They don't encourage questions. And also, if for example one of the students do ask a question, I have observed a lot of teachers will make a comment or make her or he or she feel inferior, because he or she asked a certain type of question. So questioning is never encouraged in the school. And recently we have also observed something which is very unhealthy as well. We have observed many children, especially girls, they don't drink water in the school. The reason why they don't drink water in the school is because they don't want to go to toilet. And the reason why they don't want to go to toilet is because most of the toilets in the government schools are very, very, very filthy. They are not properly cleaned, they are not hygiene, they are not hygiene at all. Due to this reason, a lot of girls don't drink water in some of the government schools. So this is just to take on an overall view. There are more issues. In the schools or in the system. But just to give you an outline of how the things are, the situation right now in the Maldives. Because if you really see, education is what brings about the final end product of a country, the people, how well we behave, how well we are able to manage, how much leadership we has, all these things depends on the education and the education system. So if a country wants to progress or go beyond its current limitations and do well in the current world economy, one thing it has to strengthen is its education system. For example, if you see Singapore, it puts so much of emphasis in education. Even in the early days of Singapore, so much of vocational training and so much of things were done in terms of educating their public so that things can be done. Whereas we see in the Maldives, our education system is never been improved, or we are not putting an emphasis on trying to improve the education system. Our system is very much based on certificate or something that people can show to other people, instead of you can perform what you are learning, or instead of trying to prove to people that since you know something you are able to contribute to the community. We are also very sad that we have seen many people, a lot of educated people who come from abroad, most of the time and whenever we see them come to Maldives, we have seen them going into the political arena and trying to sell off their certificates. The reason why I am saying sell off their certificate is saying we have observed in the past that a lot of people who have got certain types of certification, they came into the political arena and said, you see, I am educated, I have got this certificate, so please vote for me. Whereas most of the people, or the point of view in an intellectual society would be, if you know something, then help the community, then help the community get better. For example, if you have gotten a certain type of knowledge, then help us sort out the problems in our community. We have got so many issues, from drugs to theft to corruption to even black magic and sorcery nowadays. So there are enormous problems in our community. So if you are educated, why don't you attend to the problems here? So give us a strategy, tell us a plan, give us a policy, instead of just coming and saying, I am educated, here is my certificate, so give me this, give me that. This is a very wrong way of trying to promote yourself. What we feel is, if you know something, then you should be able to do a better job than another person who doesn't know how to do a job. For example, if you specialized in generators, then you should be able to maintain and do work in a generator better than a person who doesn't know a generator. You can't simply come and say, I have got the certificate for the generator, so I need 2-3 people who will do the work, and I'm not going to do anything. So this sort of mentality is not going to help the community. But to take if you, for example, if you take what Sir Ken Robinson has said about education, if you look at his speech, he has already identified some of the major problems in the education system. One of the problems he identified is that the current education system in the whole world was designed in the late 18th century, middle 18th century, to give public education for all. And he says the current education system is outdated. Why we in the Maldives we are worried is we are adopting a system that the Europeans are trying to change. Just to give you an example, if you grow up in Europe, at a certain age your parents will ask you to go. You have to live on your own, you have to get your own apartment. But recent statistics show that there is a lot of people being found dead in their own apartments because they no longer have any family ties with their family, or they don't have any ties with anybody. And these people, you find them dead after 4 or 5 days since they've been dead, and most of these people are living alone. There is enormous problems of the current system which they are following in Europe, and they are trying to change it, get into a better system. Whereas we in the third world countries, we are trying to adopt a system which they are already trying to change in their country. Because they have experience of this, and here we are trying to adapt that, because they don't want that. They have got already experience, they know the flaws of the system, and they are trying to change it. Many countries in the Europe, they are changing the whole system of education. They know some of the countries no longer even teach subjects. The reason why we can today talk about the education system in the country or say that it is wrong is because it is not producing leaders. We don't see leaders coming out of the schools. Even if you do a survey, okay, we say Maldives is 100% Muslim country. Even if you do a survey right now, out of every 100, not even one boy will be able to do or say call for prayers on his own. Not even one. So this is just to give you an outline, because a lot of times, you know, there are standardization which you use on how to measure the skills that you have learned, how much you can implement. So right now we have very good students, or students who can sit and write, but on a practical field there is nobody who can use their knowledge. We don't see them. In a lot of shows where I come as other hosts or trying to represent organizations, I've also highlighted the fact that, you know, we don't see these people who are coming out of the schools working in areas or performing or doing anything good. The only time we see a professor or we see a PhD is when he comes into politics. And what he does is he only says that he is a professor or he is a PhD and now the people should give him more. He doesn't give us solutions, he doesn't give us problems to our daily lives, he doesn't attend anything. Most of these people don't even live in our country, they don't have a clue how our community is like, they don't have a clue how our economy is like. They live in a foreign country and they think that by living in a foreign country that they will be able to sort out the problems here, which is very wrong. You have to live in the Maldives to understand the problems in the Maldives, the development that we are going through, the transition, the democratic transition the country is going through, all these things. And the other thing that the current education system doesn't do is attend what is right now. Most of the textbook system is very old. None of these things talk about the current issues that is happening in the world, the current paradigm that's changing every time and all the time. So they don't address these things. They don't address all what they are training is. The best example would be the parrot soldier. If you read the story, you know, you just go and by heart everything that is in the book and you just write. If you come across anything that is against that, you would have serious problems. Another huge crisis in the Maldives in the side of education would be tuition. Tuition has become some sort of you know, everybody has to take it. Like, we have even heard rumors that, you know, when foreign teachers are employed in the Maldives, when they ask about the pay, some people say don't worry about the pay, you can get this much from tuition. And I personally have spoken to some of the students that left CHSE who said that if they don't take tuition from certain teachers in CHSE, you know, they were penalized in their classroom. I'm just saying the name on the show because this has gone far too long and nobody is talking about it. Everybody is keeping quiet. No parents wants to talk about it because their children is in the school, they are studying. So if they say something, they would be penalized for saying that, you know, because the teachers or somebody, you know, will do something. So there is a huge problem of tuition. A lot of teachers are charging a huge amounts of money from children to take tuition and all these things, and this cannot be done. And the reason why education ministry is not intervening in this shows that they are indirectly supporting this thing. It has to be intervened. Foreign teachers cannot come to Maldives and do these things in the Maldives. This is a huge, they have to properly teach. The reason why a student has to go for tuition in the first place is because there is not ample time or there is no way that they can get these things in the school. So this is a huge problem that has to be addressed, you know. And right now the whole country, nobody wants to address anything unless the opposition or a political party says it. There is no genuine need in the people to go out and look for things and try to correct it. So unless the opposition party doesn't say anything, everything is good. This is not a mechanism of measurement, you know, especially in a system like education, you know. Like I said just now, even the basic necessities like the toilets are not, you know, up to the standard. You know, a girl cannot simply use some of the toilets in some of the schools. And the worst part is none of the parents can complain, because if a parent complains, the teachers and the management label the parent as somebody who creates problem. So there is no system, no mechanism whereby you can check all these things. So currently, the whole system is suffering a lot, and we in the Maldives, we are adapting something that the Europe is already trying to get rid of, and we think it's a very great system, and the last time when the manhaj, the current manhaj or the system was adapted, which is better than what of course what we had before, but there was not proper training given about this to the teachers. Without proper training to the teachers, there's no way they can implement these things, and a lot of teachers need a lot of training. So you need to give them a lot of training. We have seen in the past a lot of teachers were even politicized. They have one NGO where they call for their rights to have better salary and all these things, and for them to get more financial sort of these things. But we have never seen them addressing issues like tuition. We have never seen them addressing issues like children, having to do with a lot of children in one classroom. This only indicates that these people have no interest in the real education or develop the real education in the country. So these things has to be seriously taken into consideration, because these are the children we are preparing for tomorrow, who is going to run this country and also who is going to do a lot of things in the country. And if we train them in this manner, definitely we are not going to stand or be able to have a better position in the world. Right now we are doing very good. It's because our parents or our forefathers did a good job. But if you take their example in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, it would be, most of the psychologists would classify most of the people as having some sort of psychological disorder, because the punishments and things that were given at that time would today would be considered as I don't know the exact word to use, but it will be considered as something for which you will get a jail sentence. And this, I'm sure the psychologist will, if a child goes through something like that, I'm sure the psychologist will say, he would have a problem. And if you tell, according to most of the psychologists, the whole generation should have some problem. But that is not the case. The case is that those people at that time actually had a better education, and this is the reason why we are doing a better job now. But if our children, the children who are in the school now, does not get a better education, then they will not be able to compete in the world. The other thing is, still children don't have access to internet at an affordable price. We are still the most expensive country in this region, whereas everything today about education is done online in all the parts of the world. Still in the Maldives, the internet is so expensive. This is also a huge hindrance to education. I personally believe that every student of the Maldives should have free access to internet education. If you want our future to be better, every student in the Maldives should have access to free internet, because this is where all the resources and all the things come, and this is where they can really update about international issues and other things. Of course, some people misuse the internet. There are things that is not healthy, like all the resources, some are good and some are bad. But if we really want to develop, if we want to have the edge to make Maldives a better place, I believe that every student should have free access to internet, and I think it should be a pledge. So this is just to highlight, highlight some of the points, some of the serious points that comes into one's mind when you start talking about education. But education is something that you have to talk about. It's not about how many children gets how many certificates or how many. It's about how many children is able to live their lives happy. How many children are able to live a good life? How many children are able to do something in their life? you can easily put people in a platform and show these things, but end of the day, where does these people end? Where do they go from there? For example, if we ask 10 years ago, those people who got A levels best and O levels best, so where are they now? Those people who went to scholarship, where are they now? What are they doing? So what are the benefits to this country? What has happened? Now these things has to be checked and these things has to be analyzed. Right now, what we see is that most of the people that comes from our education system does not have the proper leadership, does not have the capacity to attend to the issues that is right now in this country. So we need to create leaders that can attend to our issues, that have the capacity to take this nation forward. In order to do that, we need to give them quality education. If we need to give them quality education, the first thing we have to do is bring quality teachers. Right now, the teachers that come to Maldives, there is a rumor that their certification is not accredited by Maldives Accreditation Board. The problem is, if you, or for me, for example, me, if I go to a foreign university, if I get a certificate, we have to go to Accreditation Board, and the Accreditation Board will check if that university is up to the standard or if it is in their list of universities that they believe have. But if a foreign teacher comes to Maldives, there is a rumor that this is not being followed to foreign teachers. That means, though you and I have to go and study and get a certificate, the foreign teachers who come to teach us, they does not necessarily qualify, you know. So there is a rumor. So these are very disheartening facts. I cannot say for sure that this is happening, but there is a huge rumor in this country that this is happening right now, which is a huge problem for the Maldives. So this is something that we have to look into, or we have to see. And other thing is the sports activities. Currently, if you check the children, most of the children in the schools are very unhealthy, and most of them are getting overweight. Overweight is becoming a huge problem in our community. This has not been addressed in the schools. It has to be addressed in the schools. You know, they have to check and see what is happening. They have to have more activities for the children. Right now, there is also no time for activities, and we have also observed last year, when one of the students in a government school, when she wrote a test paper, when she wrote the answer in her own words, the teacher has cancelled it as wrong. Most of the teachers in the government, they want the answers as the way they teach. This is why I'm saying they are just training parrot soldiers. You know, in all the parts of the world, students are encouraged to write their answers on their own. But here in the Maldives, some teachers, not all the teachers, are encouraging them to do these things. Of course, in Maldives, there are very good teachers who does an excellent job, who goes out of the way, spend even the salary they get in trying to teach and do all these things. But this is a very few. Majority of them, especially the foreigners, I'm not talking about the locals, especially the foreigners, they have no interest. They have no interest. And I don't know how the selection process in the education system works, but we really feel that a lot of foreign teachers in the country right now is not up to the standard, or does not have what is required to give the proper education for the system. A lot of them spend a lot of time giving tuition or making money in other terms. And this is something that the government has to stop or look into. If they keep quiet, that means they're encouraging it. They cannot just keep a closed eye on something like this, which happens in every day, every school. You know, if you have a child, for example, in CHSC who is doing A level, you will be spending something like 10 to 15,000 rupiah on tuition. This is I don't know what to say, you know, but this is not the country that I see, and this is not the things that I want to see in education, or in the side of education. I think these things has to be addressed. Of course, we have many problems. We have huge political problems right now, but it does not mean that we can forget about all the other problems that is happening in the country. We have to address everything, you know. We cannot forget about things. a lot of times what is happening in the Maldives is, if something starts to happen, then you forget about rest of the problems, and people take huge advantage of these things. For example, there was times when there was when first Galore ground, the national stadium was built, and when the lights were put up, there were people talking about black magic and they seen ghosts, and those days, if you check the newspapers and all, you will find that a lot of people stole things from the houses. They took a huge advantage of people talking about these things. So right now there is a huge political turmoil in the country. We have people talking about in both sides of the political dimension about the issues in the country. On one side is the government, one side is the opposition. But it doesn't mean that we can forget about problems like education or stop talking about other problems in the community like abuse and other things, human rights and things. So education also has to be dealt with, because this is a very, very important part of nation building. Without education, one cannot build a good nation. One cannot have a proper future for the country. And it's not like one can say, we are doing the best we can. It's not like that. We have to go the extra mile. We have to do more. We have to put that extra effort, Otherwise, there is no way we can achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned about students or Maldivians going abroad for their higher studies and coming back and not giving the service for the nation. Well, do you think it's a problem of the education system where it's totally based on knowledge, or do you think it's a problem of the workforce having the mentality, or is it not properly taught to them that there is a duty of every Maldivian to serve for the nation? Because whenever people get higher education or certificates or degrees, let's say, they tend to demand for higher jobs, as you've mentioned. But do you think it's because of the education system totally, or do we personally have that mentality in us?
Whatever mentality we have is something that we learned as children, or we acquired when we were growing up. As babies, we have nothing. So whatever we have is what has been done to us. That's what I'm saying. To give a direct answer to your question, I personally don't know what to say to this, or I would not be the right person to give an answer to this, because before answering this question there has to be a lot of survey, or there has to be an extensive knowledge that has to be collected before concluding that okay, this is the purpose or this is the reason why it's happening. What I am saying right now, whatever is happening right now is not something that is good, because we don't see people coming out. We don't see enough leaders. Of course, there are many children who come after their degrees, who does a lot of work, who does extensive good things, who have started their own business, who are doing great and who are doing many things in the community. But this is too few compared to all those children coming from the school system. This is just a handful of people we can count from our fingers. And these people also, that the success people we see are people who have got a lot of help from the side of their parents or other things as well. So right now we need to have a system whereby that we will be able to give the capacity for the children so that they can manage their life on their own. Right now, some of the children that go to school, they can hardly do anything on their own. So we need to change that. We need to give them the proper skills so that they can take care of themselves and they can take care of the family, and they will be equipped to face the challenges that the future is going to throw. The way the country is going right now, there's going to be enormous challenges in the future. It's huge challenges. So we need to have children who will be able to face these challenges, bring solutions to the problems in the community, and make it a better place for everybody to live in. In order for us to do this, we need to change the system. And what I'm saying is 30 children is too much for one classroom.
Yeah.
and it's simply too much and there is no excuse for it and you have to change it. And tuition is something that you have to stop and teachers has to take. And when I talk about tuition, I'm not talking about Maldivians. I'm talking about foreigners who have been brought to Maldives saying their salary is low and that they don't have to worry because they can take more money from tuition. Now this is the issue I'm trying to address. I'm not talking about the Maldivian teachers. I'm talking about the foreign teachers who are brought to Maldives, who are paid say less, and they are promised that they can make more money from tuition. Now this is my problem. So I hope people don't confuse what I'm saying,
Yeah.
because it is a very sensitive area, because a lot of local teachers have been suffering for a long time. There are many issues which we also understand, and like I said, there are many excellent teachers who even spend most of their salary money, to
Yeah.
make things for the children, and who have a genuine interest in love for the children and things like that. But the reason why I'm not talking about those things, instead I'm talking about the other part, is because we want to change, because we want to make things better. And this is the reason why I'm focusing on all these bad things. It does not mean that there are some good things. There are some good things, but a lot needs to be changed. A lot needs to get better. Otherwise, there is no way we can make things better. The other problem which we find is the judgmental mentality of some of the people is also based on the education system, because a lot of people does not know how to judge people based on their action. So since they do not have this much education, they judge people based on their looks or things like that. Whereas a possible judgment after education could be based on the actions. This is what the religion says, and this is what all the educational system says. But this basic skill is lacking in a lot of people right now in the country. So we feel that this is a huge problem with the education system. So we also feel that a lot of people don't want to talk about this. Most of the parents, they don't want to talk about the problems in the school when their children are finished. Once they finish whatever school they are going, they don't want to talk about it. They are happy. And whatever happened in the school, they just want to stop. So this cannot be the case, and also we cannot wait until one of the student in a school is abused for the education ministry to go and check. We have to be checking today, even if nobody is abused, to make sure nobody gets abused. The whole problem right now in the Maldives is we will always wait for some disaster, and once a disaster happens, everybody is going to check. Now we have forgotten the disaster that happened in one of the schools where so many children's lives were lost. Of course, today we don't know what is the current process of children going onto other islands, how much safety is when they are going for swimming. What I am saying is I don't want to wait for another disaster to happen. They should already be checking, okay, what is the process, how much has it been updated, so how many schools are going for other islands, so what is the safety in swimming, what are they checking now, because a lot of times we always wait for something to happen. People has to be proactive. They cannot wait until things happen. They cannot wait until failures. So if we wait until some of the children in a school gets abused and for them to go and check or do something, it's going to be very bad. We have to be always checking. We have to have systems in place that checks things regularly, which is not there. This is the reason. The reason why I'm saying it is not there is because the basic hygiene in school is not there.
Yeah.
Even the toilets. When I say basic hygiene, the toilets is not up to standard. Some children, especially girls, don't drink water because they have to go to toilet, and they don't go to toilet because the toilets are not clean. This is basic hygiene. So this cannot be accepted in a country where we are trying to boast that we are going forward, or we are trying to come up to a standard of world-class countries.
Well, we have been practicing a policy of free education, and in President Yamar Abdul Gayoom's presidential speech that he gave, he highlighted that Maldives would be the first country in this region to give free education until 14 years. Well, we have been practicing this system for a long time, but you personally as a parent maybe, do you believe that this system is free education? Because sometimes, as you've mentioned, parents spend a huge amount of money for tuitions, and sometimes in higher grades like A level or O level, sometimes parents have to pay for their exams because they're not getting enough, they're not scoring enough up to a standard. Maybe from below C's, they might have to pay for their exams on their own. So do you believe, as a whole, do you believe that this system is a free education system?
No, this is not, because in a free education system, there would not be things like tuition, because you end up paying more than what you would be paying if you sent to a school where you would be paying a tuition fee. But a free education system is very important for a country, and we need to have that. Right now in this system, we need to correct certain things. We need to take proper measures in trying to adjust certain things, and for that to happen, a lot of people also have to create awareness about what is quality education. What do you want to achieve from I think a lot of parents also have to ask themselves, why do I send my son or my daughter to school? What do I expect, and what do I want them to learn? Because a lot of time we feel that our duty is over if we go to school, if we send them to school, and if we pick them up from the school. And if we give them shoes, books, bags extra, then our duty is over. No, the duty is not over. We have to ask the big question, why do I send my child to school? What do I want to achieve from sending him to school? For example, if I send my child who goes to a school regularly, and after grade 5 or grade 6 or grade 7, if he goes into a drug problem, we have to ask why, what happened? All of a sudden, why did he go? He's been going to school all this. Doesn't he supposed to get education? Doesn't he supposed to know the difference between what is good and what is bad? Was it his choice just to put his life into a misery? Was his decision? So I think a lot of times some people fail to ask this question, why do we send them into school in the first place? And the reason why we have to ask is then only we will be able to get an answer of what we are trying to achieve out of it. It's not about parents going to teachers and speaking to teachers and listening to whatever they have to say. It's more than that. If you are a teacher in a class of 30, how can you give time to these children? How would you be able to give a time to the children? In my years of working with the schools and these things, I have also observed that a lot of times the syllabus or the things or the way that the knowledge they are trying to pass has been changed. It has not been changed. They are using the same old this thing. Even today, just before coming to the show, I just wanted to ask some of your children what was their major problem in some of the government schools. I asked some of the students in Armenia, and most of them complained. They said they cannot even drink water while they are in the classroom at the classroom time. Now I see this as a huge problem, whereas some people might say, no, you should not be able to, you cannot force education. If you see our schools, they are becoming more like jails now. The walls are all of a sudden going up. This is not how schools are. Schools supposed to be having the walls go down. Just when people go, they can also see the children study. No, suddenly the schools are becoming like jails where they go in and the people try to force feed you with knowledge. This is not this is not education. Education is somebody trying to make you understand. And there also has to be an incentive on the part of the person who is going there to listen. If the teachers are not creative enough to get the interest of the child, then he or she is not qualified to tell that subject or teach that subject. So we have to continuously assess the standard of education. Right now, Because of the political turmoil, what we are trying to do is we are just trying to get teachers, enough teachers, because we don't have local teachers. So we just trying to bring any teacher from anywhere, so that end of the day when the school starts, we have teachers everywhere. So it doesn't matter how he teaches, what he teaches, the way he teaches, if the student learns or not. If the student doesn't learn, it's the student's problem. If he doesn't pass, it's the parent's problem. You cannot keep on passing the blame to people. If somebody in this country fails, it is a problem of the whole country. Even one person fails in school, it is a problem of the whole country. If one person takes drugs in this country, it's a problem of the whole country. Now we have to realize these points. We cannot say, it's this family and this family, because ultimately it is the community that is going to suffer. It is the community that is going to pay the price of this. This was the problem when the drugs started in the Maldives, And the worst thing that happened was it was promoted by the authority that were trying to stop it, because they themselves did not have enough education to know that the campaign they did in order to stop drug was actually promoting the drug. They went to schools and they said to a lot of children, this is drugs, you should not. Whereas a lot of children in those sessions did not even hear about drugs. So this is how even the drug case started in Maldives. So there is a huge problem of education system, in the education system, and the way we look at it and the way we are trying to correct it as well. For example, if you take the islands, most of the islands still people are happy if they have a principal, if they have a teacher. It doesn't matter if he is qualified or not qualified, because a lot of people still don't know how to check, if he is a proper person or not. And they are all very happy if they have one, because sometimes they don't even have one. They don't even have a teacher. But this cannot be if we want to develop our country. We have to seriously take into these things into consideration and do. Of course, it's not going to be easy changing these things. We don't have enough space in the schools. We don't have all these things. But it doesn't mean that we have to ruin. It means that we have to find more creative solutions for our children. Right now, we are not trying to find creative solution. And also, a lot of people in this country don't want to talk about the real issues in the education. They have to talk about the real issues in the education. Otherwise, there's no way we can accelerate. Of course, there is a few wealthy people who can afford a world-class education. They send their children to. But what are they going to do when they come to a country where rest of the people does not know anything?
You've mentioned about the development that education can bring to a society or a community. Well, Maldives is a geographically different country from all the other countries, I should say. And having a dispersed atolls, a number of atolls dispersed, and then our environment being very different from the Europe, where our education system is based totally on Europe, and then we do their exams here, and our streams are totally based on the Europe environment, let's say. Do you think that we need to increase the streams that we teach in Maldives? Because from those lessons or from the knowledge of our generation can only be increased because of the education system. So we only study maybe business, science, or a few students study art stream here. But can that three streams, the few streams that we study in government schools, can bring the development that we actually want?
Variety is always good, but right now I would really like to address the basic issues. Okay, the very basic is, for example, I would really like to tomorrow, even for the education ministry, to address the issues of toilets in the school. The other thing is, I would like foreign teachers to encourage questioning in the class, and I would like to reduce the number of students in the class. These are the basic things. So first we address the basic things, then we go for it, because I don't want to be another certified fool who comes and say or talks about big dreams and nothing happens, So I don't want to be that certified fool. I would rather address the core issues and start somewhere and then go up. So these are very basic things which we need to do. And I am a firm believer of things that if we cannot do small things, there's no way we can do anything big. So first we have to start with these things, and then later on, of course, like I said, variety is always good, but first we have to address these issues, you know. These are more pressing issues, like tuition, you know. They are robbing these people, especially these poor parents who don't have an alternative but to this, and nobody wants to talk about it, you know. This is very sad, and I think I'm talking for them, you know, tonight. So.
Yeah. So what do you think is the role of the parents that they could actually do in changing this education system, in changing the classrooms, making it more conducive for the students to study there? What do you think the parents, the parent-teachers boards, or the schools managements can do in order to change this environment?
One thing I would recommend is to ask more questions, and ask more questions that is related to the cause. Why am I sending my child to school? So ask questions that is more related. How do I want his behavior, her behavior to change? What do I want to see him, and what do I want to learn him? And also check what he is learning in school. What is his behavioral this thing? Because we don't see any behavioral change in a lot of and we see children getting more angry every day. They are not happy at all. They get more angry, they get more frustrated. This is not a school, how the school environment should be. School environment should be celebrated. It's something the children should be happy about, you know. They should not get angry or things. And also we feel that a lot of children who are different from other children, they cannot simply label them and put them in a classroom in a corner. This cannot be done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Asif, for your time in our fourth estate. We hope that these things can be addressed and changed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of Fourth Estate. I'm Renata signing off. Hope to return next week with another interesting issue.
न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स एत बाइक के इतबार होता पावे न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स की पैकेट गागिन आदद का बिस्कोदे कुलेवे आगे हम मीरु बिस्कोदे वारक कमदा बिस्कोदे बिंदा बिंदा खाला न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स
Ivoin anakka startup kurani German vilatuge malu ufedumekkamavva Peredo brand ge ekivattaruge sali laminate paake carpet adi fenuge asar kuratantana hasa vinyl flooring west rajye muling a installation mechanism maaku miharu Evo flooring gun liben hunnana tiris first rufiyan peshige aka footed site measurement naga install koddinuge hidume west mi miha rajyen liben hori emme quality aguheo flooring ale saliyen nunta
Snickers. It's got nuts, chocolate, and caramel to fill that hunger on the go. Grab it, rip it, chew it, yeah. Hungry? Grab a Snickers.
Now grab a fantastic new pack of 5s for just ₹50.
Higam do heddo. Coffee bola. Sali gadiyan. Kike bonani.
Do.
Fini coffee enna wala tangalvis. Mabune chengono do.
Ice coffee enno.
ಅವಸ್ಕಮಕ್ ಫಿನಿಕೊದ್ದೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಕರದು ಕೂಡ ನಿಕಾಯಿ ಬ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಎಸಿಗೆ ಫಿನಿಕಮ ಮೊಳಕ ತಜ್ರಿಬಾ ಕೊಲ್ಲಮ ಎಹಾ ಫಿನಿ ಎಹಾ
ಹುಣು coffee diblata.